everyone. Hey everyone, welcome to this hangout. You can't hear me? Can someone confirm if you guys can hear me and see me? Someone just said on Instagram, I can't hear you, so just want to make sure you can hear me. Thank you, Audrey. No worries. Alright, we're just waiting for Facebook to join us as well. So for those of you who are just following us as of recently and are not sure about what we do, AV is an animal rights organization that focuses on street activism. Our main kind of activism is outreaching the public on the street. Obviously, during the coronavirus quarantine, we haven't been able to do that, but some of our chapters are operating as normal, and soon will be operating as normal. So on the street, we hold demonstrations. We show people what happens to animals that are exploited and killed in all the different industries like meat, dairy, and egg. And we have conversations with the public about veganism. So that's basically what we do. And this hangout and Q&A is supposed to be just a hangout for us to spend the next hour or so together, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have in terms of veganism, in terms of animal rights, activism. If you have any questions about AV specifically or the cube, I'm here to answer those questions. So before we get into this, I can already see that we do have some trolls. I just want to really ask everyone to ignore them. If you feel like someone is showing signs of having some interest in learning about veganism, then, of course, by all means, educate them and outreach them in the comment section. But if you feel like someone's just trolling, leaving emojis of cow flesh and bacon and shit like that, just ignore them, because that would be the best way to approach that. I was supposed to leave a comment in Spanish, because we do have a lot of Spanish speaking followers, to explain what we do. I forgot to copy that. If I leave the live stream now, it will be disconnected. So I'm not going to do that. But if I have anyone from our social media team watching this, if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. If you post that, I can just pin it to the top. Otherwise, we'll just leave it as it is. And those who don't understand me will just have to leave the live stream. All right, cool. Good morning to you, Brenda. Thank you for getting up so early to join this live. Hey, Laura. Hope you're good. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Rachel. Thank you all for joining me. I feel like my Facebook is a bit dark. The camera on my laptop's not as good. All right, so like I said, this is just a Q&A. This is not a workshop. I'm doing another interactive workshop on Monday, I think. So keep an eye out for that one, depending on which time zone you're in. It should be Monday or... yeah, it should be Monday or Sunday. I always get confused with the time zones, but we're going to promote it in a couple of days. That will be an interactive workshop, but this one is just a general Q&A. So I'm here to respond to any questions you might have, anything that you struggle with, anything that you are not sure about, just let me know and I'll start taking questions. So on Instagram, you can either ask your questions in the comments and I'll try to respond to as many as I can, or you've got that little icon at the bottom where you can leave your questions there and I can share it with everyone. So I can see that we've already got some. Let's get started. Okay, first question. How do I start online activism? Online activism, you can just start from today. There are many ways where you can be active online. I guess the most common way of doing it would be creating posts on your platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can make videos. I've noticed that people are using other platforms, like engaging in conversations when there's a forum and you can engage in conversations with the public. But other than that, yeah, just creating posts. It could be an image with a text that you write. It could be sharing content from other pages like the AV page, or other activists like Earthling Ed might post something and you think that's really good, so you just share that. It could be videos. It could be a video that you record and you respond to a certain topic, or it could be an outreach conversation. Again, it could be something that AV has shared and you think it's really good and you think people should see it, so you just reshare that. Yeah, that's basically it. And another thing you can do is you can come to our page on Instagram or Facebook and you can help our social media team in responding to the comments that we get from non-vegans. So that's another way of doing online activism. Social media tools for activists. I'm not sure what you mean by tools, but as I was saying, you can use any social media platform to do activism. I think, in my opinion, the best one at the moment is Instagram, because most people spend a lot of time on Instagram compared to other platforms. Like I think Instagram is popping compared to like Facebook. And then the other thing is YouTube, obviously. If you're good at making videos, then YouTube would be your platform as well. And yeah, in terms of tools, I don't know what you mean, but I don't think you need anything crazy. It depends on your talents and what you're good at. If you're really good at writing a post, you don't really need anything. You can just find a really good image to go with your text. If you like making videos, then you can just simply record yourself with your phone, as long as you have good lighting. Yeah, I don't think that activists need much to get started with doing online activism. Do you video or vegan stuff to family and friend groups on WhatsApp or Facebook, etc.? Is it effective to send it to them? Do they respond or ignore? Or do you just share on your social media? I think your question is whether I post stuff on WhatsApp and stuff. And I don't think that I don't use WhatsApp that often. I just use it to call my mom or, friends that are living in different time zones. I mean, it depends. If you do have a group with your family members or friends on WhatsApp, and that's the space you use to socialize and to share content, then why not? You can share vegan content on there. I normally just share stuff on my Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. And the second part of your question, whether they ignore it or they respond, in my personal experience, some of my friends and family ignore it. A lot of them do respond. So again, it doesn't matter. We just need to keep doing activism. Even if you feel like you're being ignored, it might be that they're just not responding, but you're still making them think. So when you post a video or you share a post, you might not get a response from people that you're thinking about, like your family members or your friends that are not vegan yet. You might think they're ignoring it because they're not engaging, but you never know, because they might still be spending time thinking about it. Later they might come back to you and ask questions about it. So just keep going and don't give up based on the fact that your stuff is not getting many likes, or people are not leaving comments, or they're not engaging. So many comments, but I don't see many questions. All right, let's see if we have more questions. How do I get rid of these questions that are irrelevant? How do I join AV? So if you haven't if you haven't done a cube yet, you can go on our website cubeoftruth.com, and you can, based on your location, you see all the cubes that are nearby, or all the chapters that are around you. You can choose which chapter you wanna go to. When you click on that, it will take you to a Facebook group, and we have a separate Facebook group, which is a private group for each one of our chapters. And once you request to join, you'll have to respond to 3 very simple and basic questions. And then you'll be a part of that group where we share the future events, and if there is anything that the organizers need to communicate with the volunteers, that's the space they use. And then if the cubes are operating in your area, you can just show up. When you see, for example, you see there's a cube at 2 p.m. this Saturday, you can just show up. You don't need to do anything beforehand. Some cubes require you to bring your own laptop or tablet, so make sure you check the event description before attending. If you do need to, and you can bring your own device, make sure that you've got the footage already downloaded, you've got VLC player downloaded, and then wear black clothing if you can, and you just show up. The organizers will provide the mask, signs, and sometimes TV screens. So yeah, like I say, you don't need to do anything before attending. This is very dark. I don't know how to fix this. Oh, maybe that's better. Yeah, lots of Spanish speaking individuals on our Instagram. Sarah said, always get stuck when people say Australian land isn't suitable for crops for humans. Well, that's bullshit, Sarah, because there is a lot of fruits and vegetables that are grown in Australia on the same land, using the same land, same soil. So that's bullshit. So I don't know. I don't know how else to help you with that. It's just not true. It's a lie. Hey, Paola. What motivated you to start AV and take abolitionist approach? So when I went vegan in 2013, which is about 7 years ago, I started doing activism immediately. And the activism that was available at that time, at least what I was aware of, was basically just doing silent protests where there is a bunch of people gathering together and they're holding signs. They're just standing somewhere in the middle of a street or on the steps in front of the parliament or something, and they're just standing there for a couple of hours without having any conversations or anything, or sometimes leafletting the public, which I always hated. Because the reason why I hated it is because I can see how when you give someone a leaflet, they just walk to the bin and they just throw it out. So I just always thought that there wasn't enough of good, effective activism available, and I just wanted to do something more. So Paul and I decided to just come up with something that was missing, at least here in Australia, was missing, and we got inspired by the Earthlings experience. What they do is they show the footage, but then at that time they didn't have the outreach approach, so they would just show the footage. So we took that, we changed it a little bit, and then we added the outreach to it, which is a very important aspect of the cube. And then after maybe 4 or 5 events, we tweaked it a little bit, we changed the structure a little bit, we added things and we tried different things, and then we came up with the structure, which is still the structure with the cube formation and how we operate with the masks and everything else. And in terms of being an abolitionist, I just don't see it happening any other way. Like, you can't, as an animal rights activist, you can't just be asking for better treatment for these animals, because to me it just doesn't make any sense for you to want that for animals. It's not the treatment that we have a problem with. We have a problem with the fact that these animals are being exploited and abused, and that's what we're fighting against. So I just can't see it any other way. You're either an animal rights activist and you want all of this to be abolished, or asking for animals to have like more room while they're going to be sent to a slaughterhouse at the end of the day doesn't change anything for them. So that's how I see it. Okay, someone on Instagram said, when is a good time to begin real life activism again with COVID? I think it's really not my place to answer that question. It really comes down to your local regulations in terms of lockdown. I know that many of our chapters are operating again, and that's because they were allowed to do that legally. Obviously, they have to make some adjustments, like they're doing social distancing cubes, so people cannot be standing shoulder to shoulder, but it's fine because they can still get active and do activism and do outreach. So when it comes to getting back to the cube, it really comes down to your local law and your the regulations and requirements. I think if you are allowed to have public gatherings again on the street, so if you can even have a few people, you can start by doing cubes back to back, so you can have 2 activists back to back and then 1 person on outreach. And to be safe, you can make sure that there is there's the required distance between all activists. Make sure that the masks are being sanitized, or maybe during this time every volunteer can have their own mask. If they're using, a sign or a laptop that is not theirs, make sure that everything is sanitized. And that's it. So I think it really does come down to whether or not you're allowed to do them. If you are, I would encourage you to get back out on the street and start doing activism. Someone said, where do we get the AV shirts? So if you want to buy AV shirts or any of our merch, you can just go on our website, cubeshoot.com, and we have a shop there. You can buy t-shirts, you can buy the hoodie. We've got a few newish items as well. We've got a water bottle that's really cool. We've got an umbrella. We've got caps and beanies now. So yeah, everything that you like to get, you can find it on our website. And we're also working on getting new items added to the merch. I'm looking at getting a backpack so that people can wear it at the Cube. I know that having bags is always an issue for our organizers as well. People don't want to wear their bags. They end up leaving it in the middle of the Cube, which is not allowed. Sometimes they get away with it. It looks messy as fuck, or sometimes people just want to leave it on the floor or under the table. But we're thinking of getting AV official backpacks so that everyone would be excited to wear them during the Cube as well. Another thing that I'm working on is getting smaller bags that could be used for toiletries, makeup, as a pencil case. We're also working on getting longer umbrellas, because the ones that we have is the little ones now, but we're thinking of getting the long big ones so that people can use them, especially in UK and maybe other places when it's rainy. That's what they use in the Cube. So it would be a good idea to have an AV official umbrella as well. So these are the items that we're working on at the moment. If you have any ideas or suggestions, or if there's anything that you would like to see on our website, let me know, and I would love to look into those things. Oop, I didn't mean to do that. I just waved at someone. Could you explain the financial structure of AV? Do you receive donations? How are money funneled throughout AV? Yeah, so we do get donations. We get for the last year or so, we've had a major sponsor that's been donating to us, and we also get donations from the public. We also have obviously some merch sale that is helping us run the organization. And yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by the second part of your question, but the money is obviously used to help us continue run AV as an organization, as an international large organization. We have over 30 people that are working with us at the moment, so to be able to pay them. And there are other costs involved, like accounting, legal costs and things like that, admin costs, and then we have the AV fund. So for our organizers, they would know about the AV fund, which is the fund that any organizer after being active for 6 months can apply for. And we have different tiers, so based on whatever they need. They can select one of those tiers, and then they can receive the money to purchase the equipment. So that's basically it. And obviously some of the money is used for our large campaigns, like we did the 24-hour cube in Amsterdam last year, one damn day, or the 1 week in New York that we did. So yeah, that's basically how our finances work. Paul said, do I just look at Australian dollar for the day and convert to US dollars to buy a jacket? I never bought anything online. No, actually everything on our website is in USD now. So whatever the price is, it's always going to be the same price. And then you pay shipping based on your location. So you'll be paying USD because our warehouse is currently in California. So everything is in US. Stickers, cool. Vegan stickers to put on products would be great. Yes, I've had that suggestion before, and I'm gonna write it down because I think that's a great idea. Getting stickers. Another thing that we would like to do is to get badges that you can put on your, like you could sew on your clothing, or you can iron it on. It could be the AV logo or symbol. It could be maybe the mask. So that's another cool idea. So yeah, these are good because they're small, and they're obviously going to be a lot cheaper than, say, a t-shirt or an umbrella. So it'll be more affordable for people to buy, and also that would be a good way of them supporting AV and also getting the message out there. So I'm definitely going to look into stickers as well. I keep pressing things. All right, next question. I wish there was a way for me to delete these. Can I delete them? Nope. Okay. Someone said, I'm from the US. How could I educate people about animal rights? So I guess this applies to anyone, regardless of their location. If you want to do some activism, if you can't attend the cube, or right now the cubes are not operating, or there are no cubes around you, and you want to do it online, then as I was saying earlier, there are many ways where you can educate people online. You can share photos and videos from other activists, or you can create your own content. You can write posts. You can find really good capturing images. You can start making videos, and you can talk about veganism and animal rights and explain it to your friends and family. You can spread the message that way. You can go on vegan pages or animal rights pages like AV, for example, and you can engage in conversations with the public in the comment section. That's another way of educating people. Yeah, that's basically it. And for anyone who is wanting to join the cube but there are no cubes around them, you can reach out to us and you can start your own chapter. So you can send us an email to join@anonymousforthevoiceless.org, and you can start the process of becoming an organizer. So the email is join, JOIN, @anonymousforthevoiceless.org. I'm sorry that my laptop keeps getting dark. I don't know how to fix it, if that's the case. Maybe it's just happening for me. Instagram is always so much better in terms of the video quality. Someone said, I just want to share this because I find it really funny. Someone said, why are vegans so annoying? Just shut the fuck up already. And this is someone who's come to the AV page to watch this live stream. We've been live for half an hour now. So they're just watching a live stream that they find annoying. And they feel like they need to leave a comment. And I just find that hilarious. Okay. What are some foods people don't realize aren't vegan? That's an interesting question. Paul, if you just go on our website, if you go on cubeofshoot.com and then click on shop, you'll see it will be easier if you just go have a look. You don't need to do anything. It will just automatically calculate the price for you. So you'll see the price there, you click on it, you add it to your cart, and then you put in your address and it will calculate the shipping for you, and then you can pay with your card or you can pay through PayPal. So it's actually very simple and straightforward, just like 2 or 3 steps. So yeah, go have a look, and if you have any questions, then you can ask me. So someone said, what are some foods people don't realize aren't vegan? What is going on? So what are some foods people don't realize aren't vegan? So the things that people think might be okay to eat as a vegan, but they're actually not. So you guys can help me with this as well. I think a lot of people may not realize, maybe if you're new to veganism or you're not vegan yet, a lot of the things that have gelatin in them, people don't think about that, gelatin being an animal product. Another thing that many people don't know is the additives in a lot of the processed foods, like the food coloring that comes from animals. Like one very common way of doing it is crushing bugs to create that red coloring. I think it's called carmine or carmine. And then the other stuff, a lot of the additives are again coming from animal products, like it could be coming from dairy or something like that. Another thing that people don't realize that could be coming from an animal is if you buy soy milk, fortified soy milk, or orange juice that has D3 in it, the D3 usually comes from sheep or maybe even other animals. That's something people don't pay attention to. So if you ever buy fortified soy milk or fortified orange juice, make sure that it doesn't have D3. If it does have D3, you have to make sure that it's vegan. So you have to either look for the vegan label on the packaging or call the company to make sure that it's vegan. I was thinking about something else and I forgot. Someone said avoid coloring 120. Yes, 120. A lot of the coloring is not vegan. Another thing is a lot of people don't realize when it comes to alcohol, a lot of alcoholic drinks are filtered through eggshells and dairy and things like that. So when you buy a wine or even with some spirits, you need to make sure, or beer, you need to make sure that they're fully vegan, meaning there was no animal product being used in the process. Again, you can look for the vegan label, or you can find these brands online, then go look for them. Raw sugar. Now, raw sugar is vegan, so sometimes sugar is they use bone for like filtering sugar, I think, but technically it's still vegan. Obviously, if you can get the version that is fully vegan, that would be the way to go. But I know that sometimes, one, you can't tell, there's no way you can find out, and two, it might not be practical for some people to find sugar that was not filtered with bone. Paula said L-cysteine. I don't know how to read that. Look for that in some ingredients, especially in bread. That's a dough softener. It comes from duck feathers or human hair. That's really gross. That is really gross. And yeah, I have heard about that. I don't think I've ever come across that ingredient. That's really gross, to put hair in your bread. Ugh. What else? All right, next question. Come on. If you don't know what AV does or who we are, I recommend that you watch the live stream back, because I did explain that at the start of the live stream. So just watch it back when this is over. All right, someone said, I'm vegetarian. Do I need to be vegan? Hell yes. Of course you need to be vegan. As a vegetarian, you're still supporting animal cruelty. So there are still animals that are being raped, tortured, murdered in the dairy and egg industry specifically. Also, as a vegetarian, I mean, every vegetarian does it differently, but because vegetarian is just a diet, you don't try to avoid animal cruelty in all different aspects of your life. So you don't eat the flesh, you're still consuming dairy and eggs, you might be wearing animal products like leather that comes from cows, or you might be wearing wool, fur, things like that. You could be buying products that are tested on animals, and so you're just not eating the flesh of an animal, but you're still supporting animal cruelty. And yeah, so you definitely need to be vegan. If you don't know much about the dairy industry or the egg industry, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. There's a lot of information that you can find if you go on our website, cubeoftruth.com. You can find lots of information about these industries. Usually people go vegetarian because they love the animals and they want to help the animals. They feel bad for animals being exploited, and maybe you don't know enough about the other industries that exploit animals, so you think the only evil industry is the meat industry. But the truth is that the dairy industry is just as bad, just as evil, and also the egg industry and the fur industry and all the other industries that use and abuse animals. So you definitely need to look into this, and I recommend that you go vegan just from today. There is no special step that you need to take from, you don't need a transition to go from non-vegan to vegan, whether that is vegetarian or whatever. You can decide that you want to be vegan. You can decide that you don't want to be participating in animal cruelty from right now, from today, and you can just become vegan. You're not going to suffer in any way. You're not going to have any problems. You're just going to have a more clear conscious. Someone recommended that you watch Dairy is Scary on YouTube. It's a video about the dairy industry. Someone on Facebook said, I apologize if you've already spoken about this, but I haven't seen anything thus far. But there has been a lot of talk amongst vegan YouTubers and influencers on John Venus, I'm no longer vegan video. Is AV planning to do a response about this or avoiding giving him more attention? I think this came up last time when I was live and I did respond. I've also been getting messages on my Instagram. No, Avi's not going to dedicate a post just to this guy, but we can talk about it a little bit. So I have talked about this a lot in my previous live streams, and there are videos of me that are being shared on the Instagram, AV Instagram and Facebook. Short videos that does address this. So people like John Venus or Tim Sheaf, or there was a girl, I can't remember her name. She was saying she's vegan and then she was eating fish and she got caught. You guys can help me with the name, I always forget. These are some of the only a few of these individuals, but there is more. There are more people that claim that they're vegan and then they go and start consuming animal products, and usually 99.9% of the time they blame it on so they blame veganism for being unhealthy. Raw yeah, that's it, raw. So these people go vegan, they think they go vegan, but they actually go plant-based because they want to be healthy. They're looking for the healthiest diet that they can thrive on, whether they're a bodybuilder or an athlete, or they just want to be healthy. Obviously, a whole foods plant-based diet has been proven that is the healthiest diet on the planet. So they go and do that, and then after some time, for whatever reason, they don't feel like they're thriving anymore. They don't feel that they have as much energy. Or I think what happens is because these people are usually too obsessed with their health, as soon as there's a problem, they want to figure it out and they want everything to be perfect. So they become more and more obsessed with their health, and therefore they blame it on veganism rather than whatever they're doing other than what they're eating. And what happens is they go and eat animal products, like they go and eat fish or they go and have eggs, and then they're like, oh my god, I feel amazing, I sleep better, I have more energy, my depression is gone, whatever it is. And then they're like, okay, I found the answer, so veganism wasn't for me. So that's the reality of what's happening with these people. They were never vegan to begin with. And I think that's something that we should be talking about rather than just responding to John Venus or responding to this person. I just wish that they weren't calling themselves vegan to begin with, because it's embarrassing. There's nothing wrong with saying I'm a plant-based person and I'm doing it because I want to be healthy. Cool. But when you say you're vegan, that means you're convinced that animal cruelty is wrong, because veganism has nothing to do with anything other than the animals and their liberation. So once you're convinced, there is no way you're going to go back. These people do it for health reasons or environmental reasons, and then they're like, oh, actually, I can be swayed and I can go back to eating animal products maybe just once a month or twice a week or whatever. How can you be vegan if you go back? So if you're against rape, how can you then become okay with the fact that people are raping kids in front of you? If you're against racism, how could you, after 3 years, decide that, oh, maybe racism once a month is healthy? It doesn't work with any other injustice. It only happens in this movement, and I think the reason is because everyone's so confused about the definition of veganism. We have veganism, we have plant-based, we have diets. Veganism is not a diet, it's not even a lifestyle, it's just a stance you take against injustice. And this injustice happens to be the biggest, largest, longest injustice on the planet. These animals that have been exploited, killed, raped for so long, they deserve justice. And that's why I go vegan, and everyone else that goes vegan truly for the animals. And you become an animal rights activist because you need to spread the message and you want to speak up about them. So someone like John Venus should just call themselves a plant-based athlete or whatever they are. And if they decide that they don't give a fuck about the animals and they want to go back to eating egg, so be it. Don't call yourself vegan so that every year you have to make a video about, oh, I'm no longer vegan. Veganism is not for me. One thing I saw that, because I haven't watched that video, I don't know much about John Venus, but a small part of the video that I saw, he was talking about compassion. And I was just laughing out loud because he was saying, I'm a very compassionate person and I do this for compassion. And I thought, well, how can you have compassion towards these innocent animals that you're eating now? So just be honest with yourself and say, I don't give a fuck about the animals. I just want to eat whatever I want to eat. And I want to justify it based on my health, the results that I'm getting. And, I just feel like if you're, as an individual, if you're happy with your decision and your actions, if you feel good in here, then you don't need to justify to anyone else. These people feel the need to justify because there must be some level of guilt. And that's it. Rant's over. Half of the questions on Instagram is, do you speak Spanish? I mean, if I did, I would have been speaking Spanish right now, don't you think? We always only speak English on the AV page. People are asking what kind of activism we could do during quarantine. We already covered that, so I recommend you watch it back. If you, after this is over, you can go and watch it from the start. I did cover that. Someone really wants to know how old I am because they're just repeating this question. It's all over the comments and the questions. For anyone who is curious, I'm 33. Veganism is justice for animals. Yes. So someone said, what made you go vegan? And then there's another question, how long have you been vegan and what type of activism did you first do? So to give you a little bit of background for those of you who don't know the story, I went vegan because I watched footage from a fur farm. This was in 2013, and the footage was so, it just made me so angry and sad at the same time that I couldn't watch it more than 10-20 seconds. So I was crying for hours. I went on my Facebook and I made a post saying I wish I had the power to stop animal cruelty. And a friend at that time, who I recently found out she's vegan, but she wasn't vegan at that time, she commented and said, go vegan. And at that time I didn't know many vegan people. I didn't know exactly what veganism meant, so I went and did some research, and then I went vegan, just like that, because beautiful foxes for their fur, and if they're treating them like this, it's so unnecessary and it's so wrong. And of course I was able to then make the connection with how unnecessary and evil it is for us to abuse animals for their flesh or what comes out of their bodies. So I was able to make that connection as well, and I went vegan. As soon as I went vegan, I had this urge to do activism, and so I started with doing activism online, like making posts and sharing things online, or as I was saying earlier, I used to go and participate in usually silent protests. That was the only form of activism that I was aware of back then in Australia, in Melbourne. Or maybe that's the only thing that was available at that time. And yeah, that was my first form of activism until we started AV in 2016, which was the best thing that happened in my life. All right, next question. Thank you for everything you do. Could you give some tips when discussing with a non-vegan? Thank you for your comment. So I guess it depends. If there is anything that you struggle with specifically, just let me know and I can help you with that. But as a general tip, when you're talking to a non-vegan, first of all, hold them accountable. That doesn't mean to shame them. That just means that you're not gonna let them get away. So if someone says, I know, but it's hard, or okay, I'm gonna start taking steps slowly, don't just get excited and celebrate that. Hold them accountable, remind them that for every day that they're taking their time with this, animals are being exploited and killed just for that one person. That's holding someone accountable. So you're making sure that they're fully aware of their actions and the consequences. That's all it means. You don't have to be rude, you don't have to be loud, you don't have to be shaming them, you don't have to be making fun of them. So I hope that that is clear, because I see when we say holding someone accountable, I see people say, but shaming people is never good. And I agree, because shaming is disgusting. You should never shame anyone. But holding someone accountable is different. So that's my number one tip. It should always be that you're clear about the message. You don't confuse the person with what veganism is. So the idea of veganism should be very clear. Veganism is about avoiding animal cruelty as far as possible and practicable. That's the most simple definition of veganism. Make sure that they get that. Make sure that you cover as many aspects as you can in terms of, food and clothing and products and all of that. Honey, things that are usually ignored. Honey, horse riding, zoos. These things are usually ignored. So, that's it. Try to be as patient and understandable as possible. Just try to put yourself in their position and know that, this person might be asking the most ridiculous questions, but maybe that's really what they think. They're not trying to just take the piss. They're really genuinely asking you those questions. And my last tip is don't waste your time with non-vegans, meaning at some point in the conversation, this could be at a cube, this could be online, this could be with a friend. Doesn't matter, it could be over dinner with a friend or a family member. There is a point where you need to recognize, okay, this conversation is not going anywhere, it's unproductive. This person is either just mocking me, or they're just wasting my time. They're just coming up with excuses because they just don't want to face it, and this is not going to go anywhere, so I'm going to cut it short. So that's really important as well. You just need to make sure that you're not wasting your time on someone while you could be spending that time talking to someone who's actually open-minded. And that's it. Will you talk more about why we are no longer conflating animals with health, environment, and human justice issues? I think it's great, but so many people seems to not understand why we're doing it. Yeah. So they misunderstand it. Well, we never did talk about human justice issues with AV anyway. But we used to have health and environment in the logo. So we used to have animals, health and environment, which we removed. And I love the logo like this so much better. We have talked about this a lot. And just what I was saying before as well about people like John Venus. When you stay focused on the animals and the injustice, you're making it easier for people to also understand what veganism really is. And veganism in reality is really just about the animals. It's got nothing to do with anything else. So health, environment, all of that could be benefits. Even the social change that it might bring, human, the positive changes that it might create for human injustices even. I don't know. But those would be just the added benefits, the bonuses, but it's not the actual topic that we're talking about. So when you talk about veganism, you're talking about animal liberation. You're talking about animal rights. You're talking about the fact that we do have an issue with these animals being treated like objects. And we just need to stay focused on that, because otherwise, if I try to trick someone and sell the idea of veganism to them by saying veganism is really healthy for you, or veganism helps the environment, or look at all these amazing options that we have, that person is more likely going to go back to eating animal products, just like the people that we just talked about. Once someone is convinced on the fact that animal cruelty is wrong, then it's really unlikely for them to go back. And that's really the main point. We don't need to talk about environment and health at all. If the person brings it up, sure, you can respond, but it shouldn't be the focus of the conversation at all. And it shouldn't be something that the outreacher or the activist brings up. It should only be it should only be something that you respond to if the person you're talking to brings it up. So otherwise, just don't go there. Stay focused on the animals. Alright, I have to go live again. Next question. I'm having trouble convincing other vegan activists. They're freaked out by the whole AV is an intersectional thing. They don't understand. Well, like, what's going on? Sorry, something wrong with my Instagram. You can't make everyone happy. You can't please everyone. It's not your job to try and convince everyone. You do you focus on what you think is the right thing to do, and you let others decide for themselves. So other activists may not agree with our approach, and they might want to go and do something else. They might want to start their own thing, and that's fine. We do need activists to just be active. But in terms of people that make claims about AV not being intersectional, I always ask them, what is your definition of being intersectional? And you'd be surprised to see how many people are confused as fuck about the definition of being intersectional. So if you haven't tried this, I recommend that next time you're having this conversation with someone, just ask them first. Being intersectional means that me, as a Sal, as an individual, my main focus in life is animal rights, because that is something that I'm very passionate about, right? And I spend most of my time, maybe 60%, 70% of my time, of my active time, working on animal rights. Whether it's running AV, doing these live streams, doing workshops, doing stuff on my personal page, writing posts, whatever it might be, recording videos. So for me, that's my main focus. I also speak up about other things. I speak up about women's rights. Obviously, as a woman, I am passionate about women's rights. So that's one thing that I'm really passionate about, and I do speak about on my personal page or when I'm hanging out with friends. I'm also an anti-porn activist. I speak up against porn. If you follow my page, I speak up about that a lot on my Instagram. I also encourage people to eat healthy, to exercise, to do meditation, all of that, because I think that helps all humans. So I care about humans. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be drug-free, pain-free, disease-free. So I advocate for a healthier lifestyle, right? I also talk about racism. And so my time is divided between all these different things, but my main focus is animal rights as the director of AV. So in the true definition of intersectionality, I am an intersectional individual, just like many of you are. How could you not be? As a human being, obviously you want human rights, first of all, because you want to be able to live and have freedom. If you're a person of color like I am, obviously you would be against racism, against oppression. As a woman, again, you want women to be free. You want them to be liberated. You want them to be seen as equal individuals to men. So I just don't understand how anyone could be anything but an intersectional, right? But every single person chooses to spend their time differently. So if you choose to spend most of your time talking about women's rights or gay rights or whatever it is that you feel passionate about, and then on the weekend you spend some time doing animal rights activism, that is completely within your rights to do that. I'm not going to come and try to convince you to do more activism for the animals or to do more activism about the things that I feel more passionate about, And I think that's the saddest thing that I see in this movement, and maybe that's what you're talking about. People that are just not able to tolerate differences. So when you see someone doing something differently, they do it different to you, they do more or less of it, you just can't tolerate it. You can't accept that we're all different people, we have different purposes in life, we choose our life to be different to others, and this is the path that we're choosing for ourselves. So I don't see it that way. I just see that everyone has the right to choose what they want to focus on. You can focus on 10 million things at once, or you can just focus on 2 things, and that's completely within your rights. So I wanted to talk about this because it does come up, and I hope that this does help you. I gave you an example about myself, and there's a lot more that I'm passionate about that I didn't talk about, but I just talked about maybe some of the more like some of my priorities in life. But when it comes to AV, I'm not talking about an individual anymore. AV is an animal rights organization. An organization is a bigger entity than just me and Paul and our organizers and our team members. An organization is going to have one focus, and the focus is going to be animal rights, which is missing in the movement. A lot of the vegan organizations or animal rights organizations, charities, non-for-profits, groups, activist groups, a lot of them are focused on multiple things at the same time. And maybe if we were to focus on one thing at a time as an organization, maybe we would achieve more. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know yet. But for the last 4 years that we've been operating as AV, we decided from day one that AV is going to be focused 100% on animal rights, and we're going to continue doing that. Does that mean that we don't think there is a place for other forms of activism, about other forms of discrimination and oppression? Of course not. But AV is going to focus on animal rights, and the way that we do it is different to many others. So we're not talking about welfare, or we're not talking about asking better treatment for the animals, or we're not talking about meatless Mondays and things like that. So this is our approach within AV. Anyone who likes to join us, they're welcome, regardless of their preferences in terms of whether they identify as an intersectional or not. We couldn't care less. You're welcome to do activism with us, as long as you're respectful to other activists. That's it. That's really it. And if people cannot accept that and they don't agree with that, that's fine. We're okay with that. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you for your beautiful comments, guys. I really appreciate you. Intersectional as an individual, me too, but orgs should be focused. I agree. It's more effective, not spreading ourselves thin. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm coming from. That's my personal opinion, that as an organization, if we were to focus on many things, first of all, that means that every single person within the org, from volunteers, organizers, and our team, needs to share all of those views when it comes to other things. So how exclusive would that organizational group become? Just think about it. When we are just focused on veganism or animal rights, we can all be from different religious groups, different backgrounds, different political views. Some of us may not be as interested in certain movements other than animal rights. Some of us may not be as educated. So by adding different sections to one organization, you're actually making it more exclusive, because everyone who joins has to tick all the boxes. Whereas with AV, as long as you're a vegan and you want animal liberation, you're welcome to join us. Like I said, as long as you're not going to be disrespectful to other activists at the Cube or online. You're not going to be oppressive towards a certain group of people. And I do think that that's more effective. But then outside of the Cube, I think almost every activist that I know, maybe not all of them, or maybe they don't talk about it, but at least 80 to 90% are intersectional. They do other forms of activism. It could be that they just post stuff online. It could be that they actually go and do protests. But I don't know. For me, it's just a given. Have you ever experienced doing activism as undercover in a slaughterhouse or farm? No, I have never done that. I have a lot of respect for those that do that kind of activism though, but I haven't. What we do with AV is fully legal, and I would never want to jeopardize that. So even if I want to one day do that, I am not going to do that, because like what we do with AV is completely legal, and I don't want my actions or someone else's action within the team to affect the entire organization. But I do think those are definitely necessary. Otherwise, how are we going to expose these industries to the public? All right, one more question. Is animal testing necessary? What do you think? Of course it's not. I think it's been proven by those countries that have banned animal testing. I think they have proven that animal testing is not necessary. It's an outdated practice, and it should be abolished all over the world. There are many ways, many places in the world, many countries, many companies have already started doing alternative methods for their testing. And that's obviously proof that we don't need to be testing on animals. You know what I find funny about this? So when you're talking to a non-vegan and they say, when you're talking about animal testing, so they say, well, because animals are like us, so it makes sense to test on animals, because if that's successful, then it's going to be safe for us. Okay. But then when you ask them to stop eating animals, they say, but they're animals. We're superior to them. So I always find that interesting, how it's not consistent. You think that you're better than the animals, and because they're not as intelligent, you deserve to exploit them for their flesh. But then when it comes to animal testing, you think that they're equal to you in terms of your biology. So, yep. All right, I'm going to take one more question and then I'm going to wrap this up. Let me know on Facebook if you have any questions, or on my Instagram if you have any more questions. I'm not going to deactivate comments, because otherwise I won't be able to see your comments. I know that we do have trolls. I know that they're disrespectful, some of them. I can see their comments. Some of them I don't understand because they're in Spanish, but I can imagine. But let's just ignore them. Let's not care about them. I mean, it would be harder for me because I'm the one seeing them all, and I can see them in front of me. If it's not bothering me, just don't let it bother you. Just ignore them. All right, let me know if you guys have any more questions. Otherwise, I will wrap this up. I can't see any more questions in here. Someone said, "You are so sweet. Thank you for everything you do, really." Thank you. I really appreciate it. Love your hair, by the way. Thank you. Just got it done after 4.5 months. The regrowth was getting out of control. All right, one last question. Who's the lucky person? Thank you, Asa. This has been helpful. Thank you for joining me. I guess we can wrap this up because I can't see any more questions. They're just irrelevant. Okay. One last question and then I'll wrap this up. Someone asked me, what happens to the meat in the grocery store if it's not bought, and that they feel bad not buying it and just letting it go to waste? How would you respond? Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, at the supermarket or the butcher shop or whatever, if they don't, so if they don't sell the meat products, it will obviously go bad, and then when it's expired, they just throw it out. And I have heard people say, like, what do you call it? Freegans. Freegans are people that are vegan in their head, with the exception of free food. So if they are given or they find free food that is not vegan, they make an exception, they justify it. So this example reminds me of those people, because I have talked to some of them and they say that. So they say, I always buy vegan and I cook vegan. What they mean is plant-based. But when I go dumpster diving, which is when you go and look into the supermarket's big trash bins where they throw everything in, sometimes it's good food like fruits and veggies and bread that's still good to use. So the meat products will go in there as well, and these people will go and get those products and they cook it and eat it, and they justify it because it was otherwise wasted. So to those people, what you need to say is, okay, if you are vegan, you're not going to be willing to put animal corpses in your body. What you're putting in your body is rape, torture, pain, fear, suffering, and murder. Regardless of whether that was wasted or not, the animal's life was already wasted. You're not gonna take their life back by putting it in your body or putting it in a bin. So why are you putting it in your body? It's not your responsibility to make sure that gets, I mean, that shows that person is not vegan, first of all. That shows that person is not convinced on the cruelty aspect of it. And the other thing is, even if they find these products, or if they are given these products for free, by consuming it, you're promoting the idea that it's okay to consume animal products as long as it's free. So you're normalizing it again. And again, a vegan would never do that. As a vegan, you would never say, oh, it's your birthday, it's okay, I'm gonna have a slice of your cake which has dairy and egg in it, because that goes against your ethics. So that's what you need to tell those people. One, the life of the animal is already wasted. They're not gonna be given a second chance if you put it in your body or not. And two, you're normalizing it by consuming it. You're normalizing the abuse and murder of innocent animals. And yeah, that's basically my response. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you all so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I said it earlier, I think I have another interactive workshop coming up on Monday, my time, so it might be Sunday or Monday, but we'll post about it in a couple of days. If you haven't watched the previous live streams, they're all uploaded to my YouTube as well. The full live streams are posted there, so you can watch all the interactive workshops and see if there are questions that you've been struggling with, so maybe you can get the responses there. And yeah, that's it. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that we can get back to doing cubes very soon if you're living in an area like me where there are still limitations on public gatherings. Yeah, I can't wait to start outreach again, and that's it. All right, thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Take care and much love.